Welcome to the Weaver Sews. I'm Daryl Lancaster. Woven garments present a challenge when trying to pull them over your head. Unlike a knit top, which stretches and then retracts, wovens need some kind of opening to get it over your head. We covered zippers in both the front and back of a garment and button closures. We covered how to cover snaps. For this tunic, I wanted a simple neck opening so I could pull the tunic over my head without the fuss of zippers or buttons. This placket is perfect and just requires 2 rectangles of fabric. Matching, coordinating, or contrasting. The placket is constructed with the front section cut on the fold. If your fabric isn't wide enough, this technique can also work with a center front seam. I've gone ahead and stay stitched the neck and shoulders of this wool mohair hand-dyed and hand-woven 1700 tunic front. And for video clarity, I also stay stitched the neck and shoulders of this raw silk. If you chose the front with a dart, stitch them up now. I went ahead and finished the side and bottom curves with bias tricot, stretching the bias on the curves. We covered darts and tricot seam finish in previous videos. If you aren't working with the front section cut on the fold, stitch the center front seam now and press open. We will be clipping in very close at the bottom of the placket, so reinforcing stitching is important here. Okay, unfortunately, Mulder, you're going to have to move for this next part.
Mr. Mamero.
Use as close a match of thread as you can because you'll be using tiny, tiny stitches and you won't be able to rip it out if it's wrong or it shows later. To reinforce the lower sides and the bottom of the placket opening, use tiny machine stitches, starting 1 inch or 2.5 centimeters above the dots and pivoting at the corners. Be sure that the reinforcing stitching between the 2 dots at the lower edge of the placket is exactly 1¼ inches or 3.1 centimeters. I've gone ahead and interfaced the wrong side of each placket section with a fusible tricot interfacing. To review, steam shrink the interfacing by hovering over the surface with a steam iron, then fuse it in place using a press cloth. With the right sides together, pin the plackets to the front of the garment, side by side, matching the upper and lower dots with the cut edges meeting on the center front line. Stitch from the neck edge above the dot to the lower dot and backstitch to secure. Repeat for the second placket. To finish the remaining long edge of each placket, turn up 5/8 of an inch or 1.5 centimeters and press. Trim the turned edges to 3/8 of an inch or 1 centimeter. Working on the wrong side of the tunic, slice through the center front of the garment section only, from the neckline to within 5/8 of an inch of the lower dots, taking care not to cut the placket sections. Cut diagonally into the corners through the garment only. This will give you seam allowance on the lower edge, much like the sidewall of a bound buttonhole. Take care not to cut past the reinforcing stitching. Working on the right side, press the plackets and seam allowances away from the garment. Fold the right placket as the garment is worn, right sides together, back on itself, matching the folded finished edge to the seam line. Stitch across the bottom of the placket from dot to fold line. Trim and grade the seam allowances. Turn the placket right side out. With wrong sides together, pin the long edge of the right placket to the wrong side of the tunic, matching the folded finished edge to the seam line. With wrong sides together, pin the left placket, matching the folded finished edge to the seam line. At this point, because I'm going to be adding a hood to this wool tunic, I will have to stop the construction here and finish the top stitching details once the hood is attached. To keep the video complete, I've created this second version from raw silk, which will just get a collar so you can see how to do the finishing details. Top stitch down both long edges of both plackets using a slightly longer stitch length. Do not back stitch. Instead, pull the thread tails to the back and tie them off. Fold the upper left front of the garment down towards the hem. Right sides together. Line up the seam line at the bottom of the left placket with the remaining small triangle of fabric on the garment center front, matching dots to dots. Stitch from dot to dot to secure. Finish the bottom of the left placket seam allowance with bias tricot. Lap the right front placket over the left front placket, matching the dots. Use a slightly longer stitch length, top stitch as shown, through all layers. Do not backstitch. Instead, pull the thread tails to the back and tie off. And now we have a finished placket ready for attaching to the garment back. But I want to attach a kangaroo pocket to the wool front before I do that, while the front is still flat. So next time, we will install a kangaroo pocket, perfect for this wool tunic. I'm Daryl Lancaster for The Weaver Sews.